Good day, sir. I am Daniel Poliana, and I'll be reporting to you the formalist analysis for this novel, The Hate You Give, written by Angel Thomas. So, before I discuss to you the formalist analysis of this novel, I will introduce first the author behind this masterpiece. So, the author of this novel is Angie Thomas. Angie Thomas was born and raised in Mississippi and currently resides in Atlanta. Before becoming a novelist, she was involved in rap music during her teenage years, which influenced her writing style, language, and understanding of youth culture. She earned a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in creative writing from Belhaven University in 2015. She became the first recipient of the Walter Dean Mayer's Grant, which supports diverse voices in literature. Her debut novel, The Hate You Give, became a #1 New York Times bestseller and was later adapted into a major motion picture starring Anna Glassenberg back in 2017. So, some of Angie Thomas' works are On the Come Up. This is her second novel that hits the first place again in the New York Times bestseller. And as well, this was adapted into film directed by Sana Latan, and, and Angie Thomas became the acting producer for the film. Next is Find Your Voice, a guided journey to writing your truth. So, here, according to her, she wrote this to become a tool to help aspiring writers to tell their truth, their stories in truth. Next is The Concrete Rose. So, this novel was published in 2021, and this is Angel's return to the top of the New York Times bestseller. With Concrete Rose, um, this novel is a prequel to the very first novel of her, The Hate You Give. But in this book, it focuses on the 17-year-old Maverick Cartier. So Maverick Cartier is the father of Star in the very first book. Next is so Nick Blake and the Remarkables, The Manifestor Prophecy. This is her first book aimed to young readers and her very first foray into the fantasy genre. So this became another #1 New York Times bestseller, and it follows a story of an 5-year-old Blake who finds herself immersed in a magical world heavily influenced by Black history and folklore. So here we can see um, a quote. So this is from Angel Thomas, and here it says that I look at books as being a form of activism. Sometimes they'll show us a side of the world that we might not have known about. So this book reflects the purpose of her writing because through literature, we can encourage readers to understand the experiences of racism, inequality, social justice that they may not personally encounter. So now let's proceed to the formalist analysis, starting to the characters. So the first character here is Star Cartier. Star is a 16-year-old who's basically living two different lives. She is Star Cartier in Garden Heights and a different type of Star Cartier in her private white school. So later on, you will know why is it like that. So next we have Khalil Harris. Khalil is Star Star's childhood friend and someone she's um, very close of. He comes across as protective and responsible, especially when it comes to people he cares about. Next, we have Maverick. So Maverick, also known as Big Mav, is Star's father. He is a strong, outspoken father who takes parenting very seriously. So he used to involve in a gang life, but he made a conscious decision to change and build a better life for his family. Next is Lisa Cartier. So Lisa is Star's mom and works as a nurse. She's more calm and practical compared to Maverick, and she often focuses on making sure her children are safe and have better opportunities. Next is Seven Cartier. Seven is Star's older half brother. He's responsible and mature for his age, often stepping up when needed. So he's like the second father inside their family. Next is Sikani Cartier. So Sikani is the youngest among the siblings, and he's very playful, curious, and still innocent in many ways. Next is Uncle Carlos. So Uncle Carlos is Star's uncle. He is a police officer and very close to the family and cares deeply about Star. So Uncle Carlos is the brother of Star's mother. And next we have Nana. So Nana, that's what Star or the family calls her, is the grandmother uh, from her mother's side who lives with her Uncle Carlos. Next is Aunt Pam. So Aunt Pam, the wife of Uncle Carlos, who is very sweet and loving wife. Next, we have Kenya Jones. So Kenya is Star's friend and also connected to her family because Kenya is the half sister of Sam, which is the half brother of Star Cartier. So she's very confident, outspoken, and not afraid to say what she thinks. So next is Isha. Isha is Kenya's mother. So Isha is the mother of Seven, which is the half brother of Star. Next we have Devante. Devante is a teenager from the same neighborhood. So this young man became close to the family and became one of Star's friend in the neighborhood. Next, we have Chris. Chris is Star's boyfriend. He's very genuinely kind and tries to support Star even when he doesn't fully understand everything she's going through. Because Star is um, not very vocal when it comes to her emotion. It's open to learning and shows that not everyone from a different background is closed minded. So we have Haley Grant. Haley is one of Star's classmates in the private school that she went to, and on the surface she seems like a typical friend, but she also shows attitudes and reactions that reveal a lack of awareness about deeper social issues. Next, we have Maya. So Maya is another Star friends at school. She's more sensitive and aware compared to Haley. She pays attention to what's happening and willing to question things. She's also very sweet to Star, and you can really see that um she's very genuine type person. Next, we have king. So, king is the king lord's leader in the neighborhood where Star lives in, and people are aware of his presence, and he has a very strong influence on what happens around him or around the neighborhood. So, king is the stepfather of Seven and the father of Kenya. Next, we have Mr. Lewis. Mr. Lewis owns a local barbershop and is a familiar face in the neighborhood. He's also very close to the family of Star because Mr. Lewis was owns a barbershop, and this barbershop is close to the store that Cartier's family owns. Now we have Miss Opera. Miss Opera is a lawyer who is connected to legal matters involving the community. She is professional and confident. She is also very willing to help and support Star's actions and decisions. Na, lastly, we have Officer Brian Cruz, are also known as 115. So, he is a white police officer whose actions became the central to the story. Um, so, now let's proceed to the settings. So, first we have the Garden Heights. So, Garden Heights is the neighborhood that Stars lives in. This is a low-income, predominantly black community. Despite despite the struggles and violence present in the area, the neighborhood is also filled with strong family ties, shared culture, and um, shared culture and community support. This setting also shapes the identity of Star and her sense of belonging. So now let's proceed to the Cartier's house. So the Cartier home serves as a safe and stable space for Star. Inside the house, the family there is um, a family that she values, who teaches her discipline and open conversations are very important to them as they want to really build a strong connection with one another. It is where Star feels most comfortable being herself. So next we have um Williamson Prep. So Williamson Prep is the private schools that Stars attends outside Garden Heights. So this is um miles away from where Star lives in, or where the neighborhood Garden Heights located. So Williams Prep is a private school that is wealthy, and most of the students here are white. So this is like a mostly white environment where students are expected to act and speak a certain way. So compared to her neighborhood, the school feels more privileged, socially controlled, which affects how Star herself. So this environment of Star creates pressure for her because she needs to alter her behavior, as this is uh, an environment of mostly white people. Next, we have Uncle Carlos' house. So the um, Carlos' home is more orderly and structured, reflecting his disciplined lifestyle as a police officer. So this um this house was far from the Cartier's house. So this house is located most in the spacious and peaceful neighborhood. So next we have Maya's house. So Maya's house is in the same village of Uncle Carlos' house. So whenever Star visited her uncle, she also visits Maya's house. So next we have Maverick Store. So Maverick Store is an important gathering place in the Garden Heights because it is a store where people gets their necessities or buy their necessities. So it reflects everyday life in the neighborhood and shows how community members support and connect with one another. So lastly, we have the Rubens, a diner around Garden Heights that's owned by Mr. Ruben. This diner is famous in the neighborhood, and on the wall of this diner, there are pictures of celebrities, politicians, big famous people. So let's now proceed to the plot of this novel. So we have first the um, chapter 1 and 2. So, okay, so, okay, let's continue with the discussion of the plot. Let's start with chapter 1 and 2. So, Star attends a party in Garden Heights but feels uncomfortable and out of place. She then reconnects with her childhood friend Khalil and they talk about their lives and struggles. So, Star attends a party in Garden Heights with Kenya. So this party is kind of wild, many alcohol around them. And so what I have said, this party is wild and chaotic. And according to Star, she doesn't feel like she belongs there because many people were dancing and are so sweaty. So Kenya, who's the one who brought Star there, was enjoying the environment, and she always pushed Star to enjoy also, but Star doesn't feel like enjoying. So Kenya criticizes Star for being so um feeling so like she's different because um she is going to a school for white girls or white people. So Kenya criticized her that way. So Kenya's goal is to enjoy the party. So she she left Star there. Then luckily Star met her um childhood friend, which is Khalil, and they were enjoying the enjoying the conversation, and um, Star found out that Khalil was really struggling because he needed, I mean, was really struggling because he needed to support his family and his grandmother who is ill. So while they were enjoying the conversation, a fight breaks out at the party. Gunshots were fired uh, and forcing everyone to run. So Khalil helps Star escape safety in his car. So Khalil grabs Star from that place and let Star go with him, and they leave the area with his car. So while driving, they talk about their past and their friend's friend Natasha, who died 6 years ago. So while they were driving, like after they left the area, Star received a text from Seven, her brother. Then Khalil like guessed it na si Seven. So so Star asked, how did how did Khalil guessed it? So according to Khalil, he guessed it based on Star's expression, and he knows that Seven is very protective since they were young. So they reminisce the past, like how they love Harry Potter, that they cosplay the characters, and then Khalil said that how crazy the days went by because it's already 6 years ago. Then suddenly, while they were talking, a sound of police car from their back echoes. So they were stopped because of a broken taillight. So Star at the time um was really scared, and she remembers what her parents told her when she was 12 na pag naay police kung unsay gusto ipabuhat sundon and always ipakita iyahang kamot. So what comes into Star mind at the time kay he she asked Khalil if he has something inside the car that could get them in a bad situation. But Khalil said there's none, there's nothing inside. So they were pulled by the police, and the officer was aggressively questioned. The officer was aggressively questions Khalil and orders him out of the car. When Khalil opens the driver's door to check on Star, the officer shoots him 3 times. So gipagawa sa officer, and then gikapkapan niya si Khalil. Then he it turns out there's nothing um that could, like, ka- that could bring that could kanang mahuli si Khalil. So the police turned around and go back to his police car. However, however, si Khalil at that time nilihok siya sa iyang pesto, and then he asked Star if she's okay. But sadly, wala nakatubag si Star because she was startled due to the gunshots that were hit to Khalil. So, what the? Then, then Star rushes to Khalil as he dies in front of her, while the officer points his gun at her and orders her to raise her hands. So, mo tayo ha, ni gawas. Nagdala pa siya nga magawas sa car, pero iha jud gidoon na lang si Khalil. Iyahang gido si Khalil, and she holds Khalil pero wala na gyud. And then while they were waiting for a help, the gun of the police who Star identified using his badge as 115 kay iyahang gitutok ang iyahang gun. So, next, let's proceed to the chapters 3 and 4. So, police and paramedic arrive after the shooting, leaving Khalil's body in the street while crowds gather around Star feels shocked, sick, and unable to process what happened. So, dito tulad ang si Star, she was lost of words. What she does was to stare, to watch the people, to watch the cops trying to look for something inside or sa mga gamit ni Khalil. So in the back of her mind, she wants to say to the cop that they must stop touching Khalil's things. Ang iyagigunitan and the hairbrush that was last touched by Khalil nga nahulog na, and then si Khalil anta daw dapat ipa-close ang mata. So they didn't mind about Khalil, and inside her mind gusto niya i-voice out iyang mga kan, pero she was lost of words, she was shocked. So Star parents arrive and comfort her. At home, she struggles with nightmares and memories of Natasha's death, another childhood friend who was killed in a drive-by shooting. So, pagabot sa iyang parents, wala siya nabuhat, kundi hulak na lang. Then, niuli sila, she cannot sleep because of nightmares kay sakit. Nakita po niya ang pagkamatay ni Natasha, who's her childhood friend that died 6 years ago. So, Natasha was killed by a king lord while they were playing outside. She was shot also, and it always reminds her of that. It always reminds her of that scene. Then another napagkaroon si Khalil who died in front of her. So the next morning, Star didn't went to school and spent the day with her family at Curtier's Crossing. She met Kenya and they went for a snack. While going back to the store, they met Kenya's father, King. So when she woke up, her parents was already preparing breakfast. They eat, but she doesn't feel like eating because what she felt was tiredness. Her family talks while eating. Then what she only does was to listen to them. She hears that her brother's stepfather, the king, Lord, goes back to the house. So Aisha, the mother of 7, shoved him out. So so in Aisha's house is where Kali lives. However, Maverick doesn't want Khalil there kay masakitan lagi po siya if ever Asia and King fights. But according to Savage, he doesn't want to leave because he needs to protect his mother. So after breakfast, Star went with her father to help him in the grocery store para dili kayo siya sige magkuha sa mga hitabo. While nasa store, naabot si Kenya, ang half-sister ni 7, and also the one who brought her in the party. They talked about what happened and they went out to buy food sa Rubens. So after it, after makapalit sila, they went back to the grocery store. Pero pag-abot yun nila sa kuan sa grocery store like dito naabot pa si King. So nagkikistorya si King kang Kenya and um, King offers money to Kenya while nagkuan sila. So Big Mouth Star's father went out from the store and confront King because um kuan man he knows a lot about King's um kanang ginabuhat. He also threatens King that if ever he lays a hand again towards Seven, he will face Big Mouth's fist. So in the novel, King is a huge person. So makahadlok to guys si King. S- Next we have S- Star woke up from another dream of Natasha and Khalil. She then overhears her parents and Uncle Carlos talking about Khalil's shooting, racism, and whether she should speak to the police. Big Mab believes the shooting was racially motivated, while Uncle Carlos focuses on the investigation only. So, night that day, kuan, she star dream again of Natasha and Khalil nga ginatawag siya para makidula. Then, nakamata siya from that dream. She checked the time, which was at exactly 11:05. Then she realized that she's really sweaty and she felt thirsty. Her throat feels dry. So nigawa siya. She went to the kitchen, pero pa lang siya kaabot sa kitchen. She hears Uncle Carlos, her mother, and father talking. So in the conversation, Big Mav was really furious because of Khalil's death, which he doesn't believe that a simple killing, because for him um it was due to Khalil's color. So he's black, so it's like for him it was racially motivated, that the reason behind Khalil's death it was because he's black. So Uncle Carlos denies that, and he thinks um very attentive nga focus lang jud siya sa case, and he doesn't include another like view anong hitabo to. So the reason was Khalil for him was um selling drugs. So that was the reason. So well, the Uncle Carlos and Big Mav was arguing. So Uncle Carlos doesn't want to hear more of Big Mav's words. So he plans to go home when Star decided to show up and went to the kitchen. So Uncle Carlos saw her, and the reason why Uncle Carlos was there was to talk to Star about the case of Khalil. Uh, um, Uncle Carlos asked to talk to Star if she could like be interviewed by the detectives about the case. So Star was hesitant and scared. So she asked first if it would be helpful to Khalil, un- and her uncle said yes. Then she asked again if 115 will be there. So the family was like, "Who's 115?" So um, Star explained that 115 was the cop who killed Khalil. She identified her with the badge number that he has. So when Uncle said that he won't be there, then Star agrees for the interview. So she feels a lot of emotion. So her father comforts Star, her comfort her afterward, reminding her to tell the truth let the police and do and not let the police twist her words. He also shares his own experience with death and violence. So Big Mav was a part of a big gang before, so he experienced countless of violence back then when he was still part of the gang. But because he left those things a long time ago, he is now in peace and enjoying life with his family. So Star and her parents visit Miss Rosalie Khalil's grandmother, who warmly welcomes Star and thanks her for being with Khalil's during his final moments. So the next day, Sunday morning, when her family decided to visit the house of Khalil's grandmother, they were welcomed by Khalil's aunt Fami, which is also her mother's close friend. Then Khalil's grandmother, who also very happy, eh, thanks Star that at the last moment of Khalil, someone close to him was there for him. So Miss Rosalie reveals that Khalil has been selling drugs but wanted to leave that life behind. Star realizes people may judge Khalil only for that, even though he meant much more to those who loved him. So Miss Rosalie reveals that the reason why Khalil sells drugs it is because he is sick, she is sick, and to provide for his family because he still has a brother and a family to look for. So next is okay. So before they left, they give Miss Rosalie a cash, which the old woman to refuse, but Big Mab said that it's nothing, as the old woman was the one who helped her wife, Star's mother, to raise Star and her brother when he was imprisoned. So Khalil's grandmother was like Khalil's Star's nanny. So In chapter 5, Monday came, the day Star is scheduled to talk to the detectives. She feels nervous and emotional. Her family prays for her before leaving the school. So, he left for school, they left the house, her father lead a prayer for to guide his kids throughout the day, and for especially for Star, who will be um later that day interviewed by the detectives for Khalil's case. So they left the house, and at Williamson, Star switches into the Williamson Star. Acting differently to avoid stereotypes, she spends time with Maya, Haley, and Chris while trying to act normal despite everything happened. So when they arrived at the school, Star switches to Star. Williamson knows and left all her worries out. She acted like nothing happened to her, as if she doesn't fr- uh seen her friend die in front of her. So her Williamson friends Haley and Maya were the ones who she talked first that day. Then later on, nagkita sila ni Chris, which is her boyfriend. Then Chris apologizes for the earlier argument and starts forgiving him, but she suddenly remembers Khalil's shooting when Chris touches her, causing her to panic and cry. So Chris Chris apologizes because they had an argument due to Chris' action, because Chris wanted to do something with Star, but Star wasn't ready for that. So it didn't happen, and Star feels so disrespected due to that action. So after that, they got okay, and they were like singing and enjoying the moment when suddenly Chris touches her hands, and it's like a click na remind niya tong hitabo kang Khalil. So Khalil's voice echoes inside her head, mura siyang nakuan. So eh, nawa na nagtaka si Chris kung naunsa siya. So wala ningon si kuan Star nga wala ra. So she went to her classes, and after the class kay on the way to Mama's Clinic, Seven and Star become tense enough when a police car stops beside them, showing how deeply the shooting affected them. So Seven was the one driving the car. Then ilahang gi ilahang gi ilahang gisundo si Sekani sa iyang eskwelahan before sila ni diretso sa kuan sa trabahoan siya mother. But she she became tense and afraid when suddenly a police car stops beside them, pero wala lang to. Diretso ra pud ang car. Then to makita ni mga ang reaction ni Star na trauma jud siya. So they at the clinic, Khalil's mother, Miss Brenda, arrives grieving and broken. Star feels angry because Miss Brenda was absent from Khalil's life, but her mama reminds her that despite everything, Miss Brenda is still Khalil's mother and suffering from losing her son. So when they arrive, few like minutes after they arrive, uh, Miss Brenda, which is Khalil's mom, arrived crying and saying that she lost her baby, her baby got killed, and at that time si Kuan gijudge ni Star because Miss Brenda really wasn't a good mother to to Khalil. So Brenda is a known user of drugs, so she's addict, and that's the reason why that's the reason why Khalil went to that kind of job because of her. Khalil wants to help her. So that's the story. Star and her mother got into a small argument kay si Star lagi na gijudge niya ang mother ni Khalil, but her mom said that Brenda lost her son and not just some close friend or friend. It's her own flesh, it's her own son. So Star and her mother go to the police station for her interview about Khalil's shooting. Star feels scared and overwhelmed being surrounded by police officers and guns. But Mama stays beside her for support. So inside the police station, napad yung uncle dito, tapos gi-interview siya, and ang pagka-interview gyud is start nga like she was asked how long they know each other. Does Khalil drinks that night? Is Khalil drunk? Does she know that Khalil sell drugs? So it's for him it's very offensive. And she feels that Khalil was killed and insists that he was not doing anything. So Star realizes the investigation may not truly be about justice after the detectives seem more interested in judging Khalil characters than holding 115 accountable for killing. Next, we have chapter 7 and 8. Star struggles at school, upset that the new labels the news labels Khalil as a drug dealer and worries about relationship with Chris after Khalil's death. Haley make a racist joke during PE, leading to an argument about racism and prejudice. So at Williamson, she's not the usual Star. She's very emotional and unstable. So at the gym silang kuan at the gym kay for they were tasked to to play basketball. So the girls and the boys were playing and enjoying the moment. Then Chris was there. Then he looks at Chris and remembers what happened the other day na nakuan siya sa touch ng ni, ni, ni Chris because he was like seeing the cop because the cop is a white person and so is Chris. So she felt guilty feeling that towards Chris. So they were playing and then suddenly there's a joke of Haley about fried chicken nga. Ang bala daw is isipan lang daw ni isipan lang daw ni Star nga ang bola is a fried chicken, which for her is very offensive kind of joke. So she walked out. Then the Haley and Maya follows her and explains that Haley explains that she wasn't being racist Then suddenly they hear a news about Khalil, and then ano si ano si si Hailey, kailan ba daw sila ni Kuan, kailan ba daw siya ni Khalil, and then she denies it. She denies knowing him and later feels guilty for betraying his friend. So she didn't she didn't acknowledge him because she was afraid that she would be judged as she is a friend of a drug dealer. So Kuan, um Star ex Star excuses that day because she feels so tired and asks for Uncle Carlos to pick her up. And her excuse is that she's experiencing cramps. But her mother doesn't believe her and asks what happened. So she shares it to them. Now let's proceed to the chapter 9 and 10. Violence, riots, and gunfire spread through Garden Heights after Khalil's death. Star families hide indoors for safety while watching updates about Khalil's case. So, after the death of Khalil, the neighborhood became so chaotic. Ang mga tao is signal-away. There's always gunshots everywhere. The neighborhood went so wild. So at that night, mag-dinner na ata sila when suddenly gunshots were fired. So her mother um guide them to the den kung asa sila tigtaguan. Didto na dako kayong TV, na sila nindot nga couch. So there they eated there and watched news. Then there's a news up that place nga it appears a cop nga ingon nga ginaingon nga sika ang case lagi daw is on the process na because the witness is working with them, which is yes it is, but the way they per, they portray Khalil's is that they viewing Khalil as someone very very bad. Then at dawn, Maverick returns home and shares the news about the riots while Lisa pushes for moving away. So her mother, she's very protective, so she wanted to leave the neighborhood and look for a safer place. Star and Seven leaves the house despite the danger to play basketball. Two boys try to rob them, but Devante intervenes and helps them escape. So the next morning, kay kita giagto ni Seven nga makigdula si Star og basketball. Star was hesitant at first but still agrees. So there nagdula sila og basketball then ay duha ka mga batan-on, mga ages 13 to 14 ni dool tapos sulayan ta sila kuha ilang mga gamit pero wala na dayon because Devante who is also very well known intervenes and helped them. Then suddenly Maverick arrived at the court mad at the two. Then they went home. Star and Seven got punished for going out. So punished in the way that their phones got confiscated. The family went at Uncle Carlos' house to spend the night there. Chris visits Star, but they argue as she feels he cannot fully understand her experiences. So
Niadto sila sa balay ni Uncle Carlos. They after they arrived there, nag-prepare na ang family for dinner. Then iyang nana kay gitawag iyang mama. Then gi-ask nga kanos na siya pwede makauli kay dili na daw niya kaya magstay dito sa balay siyang uncle. It is because Aunt Pams tries to control what her nana eats. So, mo to nakigdula siya si Maig-ag, nakigdula siya siyang ig-aga when sa the doorbell rings, and then she found out that it's Chris. Then the next day, on their way home, there was a checkpoint. Then she panics again. So her parents tries to calm her down, and she did. So during a trip with Maverick, he explains Tupac's thug life philosophy and the roots of social injustice. Devante asks Maverick for help escaping gang life, and Maverick offers him a job and support. So dito sila sa store na sarado pa lang ang store, ni sulod na si Devante, and ask for help sa iyahang papa because Devante seems to see Maverick as someone superior. That night, Lisa and Maverick argue about moving away, leaving Star worried about her family's future. Now, let's proceed to chapter 11 and 12. Williamson's student organized a protest for Khalil. So, pagkabalik niya sa eskwelahan, naanay protest about it. But she doesn't feel like the students were genuine with their action because murag himo na nila tong rason nga maka-escape sa ilahang klase. So Star feels so emotional and begins dropping her Williamson star persona and openly shows her emotion. Chris realizes that Khalil mattered to her. So at Curtis crosses to her. So pagkahapon ato is nanguli sila, and then ato siya sa Carter's grocery. Then nakita niya nga gina-interview si Mr. Lewis, and then sige sila yung mga unta lagi daw walay maistorya si Mr. Lewis nga maka kuan sa buot ni sa maka kuan sa buot nila King. But mao to niingon si Mr. Lewis nga very kuan daw chaotic ang place, ang neighborhood. It is because of the drug dealers that lives there. So moto pagka mag-interview, gi-istorya ni Big Mav, ang papa ni Star, si Mr. Lewis, and police aggressively stop and humiliate Mavericks in front of his children. Kaya binilag, si Maverick is in ginapasakitan niya si Mr. Lewis, which was not the actual thing happening. Tapos, auto kuan sa mga pulis si Big Mav. Tapos, ingon ng mga pulis nga dili sila pantayan or unsa ba. So, dili jud mo tuo, dili nila pasagtan si Big Mav. Ang mga tawo around them video ang gibuhat sa mga pulis. So mo to na stop ang mga pulis kas mahadlok sila nga mas ma-doubt ilahang reputation. So Kenya confronts Star for staying silent about witnessing Khalil's shooting and not defending him publicly. Big Mav encourages Star to not let fear control her and reminds her that speaking up is her own choice. Star creates the Khalil I Know, a Tumblr page that shares memories and photos of Khalil. Star and Chris exchange messages about their favorite Fresh Prince episodes. So, mo to mo siya Tumblr page nga dito post ang mga pictures ni Khalil, ang mga pictures together. Then it got it boomed na, na it got famous. And kayo si comment si kan sa mga pictures ni Khalil. Star went to Seven's room, who is now called the unofficial Garden Heights tech guy. She gives Devante an old laptop at her dad's suggestion. Then Maya messages Star when she was there in the room about the recent issue while her sweet text with Chris continues. Because Maya wants to to have a talk with Star and Haley. She wanted to make their friendships okay or fix their friendship. Star and her mother meet April Afra, who explains the grand jury process. So, April Afra is a lawyer who wanted to help with the case of Khalil. So she insisted on becoming the lawyer of Star. They learn then um, she shares about the supposed gun nga ginaingon nila sa mga pulis na nagkunita si Khalil is wala gyud kay ang ihad yung gigunitan at that time was a hairbrush. So it wasn't true na ang ginaingon sa mga pulis nga na ay pusil si kuan atong time hairbrush iyang gigunitan. Next we have Chapter 13 and 14, Mr. Lewis is attacked after speaking against the King Lords and King Orders. Vante killed for stealing money. So, moto na apot sa King Lords ang istorya ni Mr. Lewis sa news. Then nakita po nila si Devante na nagtrabaho na sa grocery store nila nila Star. So, gingon nila nga si Devante kay nangawat sila haog money. So, the King Lord threatened for Devante kill to get killed. So his daddy hides Devante at Uncle Carlos' house, creating tension over safety and trust because Devante is a gang member. He used to do bad things. Then suddenly maabot siya sa kalugar nga owned by a police officer. How ironic. Next we have here Star learns Khalil sold drugs to pay his mother's debt, changing how she views him. So the reason why, aside from his grandmother is ill, it is because also the reason because he wanted also to pay his mom's debt and help his mom to change. Devante reveals Khalil sold drugs to protect his mother, making Star rethink her judgment of him. Star confronts Haley and Maya after the protest, and Haley refuses to apologize. So, wala, Maya exposes Haley's prejudice towards Star's post about racism and activism. So, nag-start na dito nga ang pag-unfollow ni Haley sa kay Star sa Tumblr was because she doesn't like what Star post online because she's being really racist. Uncle Carlos comforts Star and admits his guilt over Khalil's death. Kay he's a police officer and she feels really sorry that Khalil died in the hands of a police officer. Next, we have chapter 15. Over breakfast, and Star and her mother discuss Haley and Haley relationship, and Lisa advises Star to weigh the good and bad in a friendship. So Star talks to her mother about what's happening between her and Haley, but her mother doesn't really like Haley. So, but in her suggestion, she suggests that um, Star needs to think if which is more if more about the friendship. Is it a good friendship or a bad friendship? Star realizes how much Haley has influenced her decisions and questions whether the friendship is worth keeping. Kay Juan. When they were really close, whatever 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 Haley wants to do, dapat buhaton din siya ni Star. Star gives her statements to the DA, but the trauma of Khalil's death overwhelms her, causing her to cry and vomit. King confronts Maverick about the bounty and directly threatens Star, leading Maverick to consider removing the family's safety. So, so they look for another place panilabuyan away from the chaotic environment of Green Heights. Part 2, 5 weeks after it. So, chapter 16, Star and her family prepare for a national TV interview and she realizes the community now supports and recognizes her. So she was invited for an interview in a TV station from a TV station. Pero dapat blurred so they hide their identity. And she felt confident because she saw many people supporting her in fighting the case of Khalil. During the interview, Star defends Khalil's character, explains why he sold drugs, and criticizes the media's portrayal of him because the media only um only show the bad side Khalil, but for Star, that's not really what Khalil is. So Star recounts the night Khalil was killed, reveals that Officer Cruz pointed a gun at her and argues that his assumption was black people caused Khalil's death. Okay, now let's proceed to the themes. So the first theme that we have here is silence allows injustice to continue. So here in this theme shows that staying silent when something wrong happens can allow that wrong to continue. After Khalil killed, Star knows what really happened, but she is afraid to speak because she worries from other people's judgment and her safety and her family also. Her fear is understandable, but the novel shows that silence benefits those already have power. While Star remains quiet, other people tell Khalil's story for him and paint him as a criminal instead of a victim. So as Star begins speaking out, she realizes that her voice has power because she was heard and many people um, appreciate her effort in speaking up for Khalil. The novel suggests that change does not happen when people stay silent. It happens when ordinary people are willing to tell the truth, even when it is uncomfortable or difficult. If you want to make a change, you must really speak. So through Star's journey, um, the novel reminds the readers that speaking up is one way of fighting against injustice. So next we have racism and prejudice shape people how people are treated. So one of the strongest idea in the novel is that people are often judged based on race before they are judged as individuals.
So after Camille's death, many people focus on his mistakes, his neighborhood, and rumors about him instead of focusing on the fact that he lost his life. The novel shows how quickly people use stereotypes to decide who deserves some sympathy and who does not. Star also experiences prejudice in her everyday life, especially at Williamson Prep, where some students make comments about black people without understanding how hurtful those comments are. So, in the novel uses the situation to show that racism is not only about obvious acts of discrimination. Sometimes it appears in assumptions, stereotypes, and unfair judgments. Judgments. The novel So the novel encourages readers to look beyond labels and recognize the humanity of every person. So next is next we have here is identity becomes difficult when people feel pressured to fit into different worlds. So this theme is mainly shown through Star's struggles between Garden Heights and Williamson Prep. At home, she feels connected to her family, culture, and community. At school, she feels pressure to act differently so that people will not judge her based on stereotypes about where she comes from. Because of this, Star often feels like she is living two separate lives. She changes the way she talks, reacts, and presents herself depending on where she is. So the novel shows how exhausting it can be when a person feels they cannot fully be themselves. As the story progresses, Star learns that she should not have choose between her different worlds. Instead, she learns to accept all parts of who she is. Through her experience, the novel teaches readers the true confidence comes from embracing one's identity rather than changing it to satisfy others. Next, we have family and community during hardships. So, although the novel deals with serious issues such as racism, violence, and loss, it also highlights the importance of family and community. Whenever Star feels overwhelmed, her family is there to support her. Her parents guide her, protect her, and remind her of her worth. At the same time, many people in Garden Heights come together to um, support one another despite the difficulties they face. The novel shows that there are people shows that strength does not always come from facing problems alone. Sometimes strength comes from knowing that there are people who love you, support you, and believe in you. So, in this novel, it presents family and community as sources of comfort, courage, and hope during most difficult moments. Lastly, we have hatred and injustice create cycles of pain that affects everyone. So the meaning behind Tag Life explains how racism, anger, neglect, and violence eventually harm entire communities and future generations. So this the idea is that when society continually ignores mistreats or disadvantages certain communities, the negative effects eventually spread and affect everyone. So in the novel, it shows how poverty, lack of opportunities, violence, and discriminations are connected to one another. That it creates many problems. You can see it in the situation of Garden Heights. It did not simply appear under all they developed because of years of neglect and unfair treatment. The anger and protest after the grand jury decision reflect the frustration of people who feel the injustice keeps happening without consequences. Through this theme, Angie Thomas argues that society cannot ignore inequality and expect everything to remain peaceful when injustice continues for too long. It creates pain, anger, and conflict that impact the entire community and future generations. So Next, we have the point of view. So, in this novel, the point of view is first person point of view, which the novel is written, which it shows a more emotional side of the story because the narrator itself is the main character. Now let's proceed to the analysis. So I'll be discussing the second theory in our group. So we used the social identity theory, dual identity and code switching as a response to group membership. Okay, so in dual identity and code switching, using the social identity theory, Star struggles between her identities and Garden Hats and Williamson Prep demonstrates how individuals adjust their behavior according to the social groups to which they belong. This is according to Tedgefell and Turner in 1979. This states that individuals derive part of their self-concept from membership in social groups and often conform to group norms to gain acceptance and maintain a positive social identity. So, according to social identity theory, which was developed by Henry Tatchell and John Turner, people derive part of their identity from the groups to which they belong. So, in the novel, Star belongs to two very different social groups. When she is in the Garden Heights, Star feels comfortable expressing herself because she is surrounded by people who share similar experiences, culture, and background. However, when she is at Williamson Prep, she becomes much more careful about how she speaks and acts. She avoids using slang, which is commonly used by Black people, watches her reactions, and tries not to appear angry or too blunt, because she worries that her classmates will judge her based on stereotypes. In her behavior, it is known as code switching. It illustrates how social identity can influence behavior and demonstrate the psychological pressure of navigating multiple social worlds. So therefore, Star's the experience supports the theory claims that identity is shaped by social group membership. So Star is not pretending to be a different person. She just feels pressured to adjust herself to meet the expectation of different people. So next we have social identity, racial stereotyping as a product of social categorization. So social identity theory suggests that individuals naturally classify themselves and others into social categories, a process known as social categorization. While categorization helps people organize social information, it can also encourage stereotyping and prejudice toward individuals perceived as members of an outgroup. So, this is clearly shown in how people react to Khalil after his death. Instead of seeing him as a teenager, sympathize instead, seeing him as a son, as a friend, a human being. Many people only focuses on the fact that he sold drugs and listens to the news reports and public discussion, which reduce him to a stereotype of a young black male involved in a crime. Because of these labels, some people become more concerned with his mistakes than with the injustice of his death. So, in the novel, it's suggested that once society places someone into a particular category, people often ignore other important parts of that person's identity. So, Khalil becomes like an example of how stereotypes can shape public opinion and influence how people interpret events. So, through this portrayal, It challenges readers to look beyond labels and recognize the complexity of humanity of individuals. So we have here the in-group and out-group dynamics and social relationships. So according to social identity theory, individuals tend to favor members of their own group while developing biases toward those perceived as belonging to different groups, according to Tajfel in 1981. This distinction between in-groups and out-groups is evident throughout the hate you give and the interactions between residents of Garden Heights and members of Stars School community. Um, yes, this can be seen in the relationship between Green Heights and Williamson Prep. So many students at Williamson view Green Heights mainly through stereotypes associating with gangs, violence, and poverty. So most of them have never experienced life there, yet they already have opinions about the people who live in the neighborhood. So, because of this assumption, they fail to understand Star's experiences and the realities of her community. So, at the same time, some residents of Garden Heights are cautious around outsiders because they have experienced discrimination and misunderstanding for many years. So, this creates a barrier between the two groups. So it shows so this simply shows how people often judge one another based on a group membership instead of getting to know individuals' personality. So this results to misunderstanding and prejudice continue because both groups remain separated by assumptions rather than understanding. Next we have collective identity as a source of resistance and social action. So social identity theory proposes that shared group membership can foster solidarity when individuals perceive that members of their group are experiencing injustice. So, this idea evident after Calista, the people of Garden Heights do not see the incident as affecting only Khalid and his family. So, many community members view it as a part of a larger pattern of injustice that has affected long communities for generations. Because they share similar experiences and concerns, they come together and demand for accountability and justice. So there happens to be protests, demonstrations, and public support shown throughout the story, right? So it reflects the power of collective identity. People who may have different personalities, backgrounds, and opinions unite because they feel connected by a common struggle. Through these events, it shows that social identity can be a source of strength. It encourages people to support one another, challenge unfair treatment, and work together towards social change. So the last theme that we have is the negotiating multiple social identities as star personal development. So from social identity perspective, star character's development can be understood as a process of negotiating multiple social identities. Initially, she perceives her identities in Garden Heights and Williamson as separate and incompatible, believing that she must behave differently depending on her social environment. But according to Turner, individuals possess multiple social identities that become more or less salient depending on context and group membership. So, star personal growth throughout the story can also be explained through social identity theory. At the beginning of the story, she believes her identity do not fit together, and that there is a separate version of herself because she feels different expectations in each environment. But as the story progresses, Star begins to question why she should hide the other parts of herself, depending on where she is. So she becomes more willing to express her opinions, share her experiences, and stand up for what she believes instead of trying to satisfy the expectations of every group. She learns to accept aspects of our identity. So, in conclusion, The Hate You Give explores important issues of identity, racism, justice, family, and community through experiences of starker view. So, the novel emphasizes the importance of embracing one's identity, challenging prejudice, and using one's voice to confront injustice and promote positive social change. So that's it for my that's it for my report, sir. Thank you for listening.